Hi everyone, and welcome to another Create a Sim. Today's Create a Sim is going to be a bit different than usual because, as I'm sure many of you already know, we did get a new Create a Sim Stories feature with the most recent patch. What this does is the game will give you 10 questions to answer, and based on your answers to those questions, the game will generate an aspiration for your sim. It'll also give them their traits. They may also start out with a head start in their career. Usually they'll have a couple skills that are already built up some, and they may also get more than the usual starting amount of money. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is I'm going to be creating 3 random roommates. I really don't have an idea of what kinds of sims I want to make here. We're just going to wing it. I'm going to answer the questions however I feel like answering them, and we're going to see what we get. Although once I get a few questions in, I might get a little bit more of an idea of exactly what I'm going for, but for the most part, I really don't know what we're going to end up with here. And then once I've already generated the 3 sims, it's going to turn into a regular sped up Create a Sim video, and I'm just going to use what the game generates for us as a base to build off of, and I'm also going to figure out their backstories and maybe how they work together. And another thing I want to do that's going to be in a separate video is I'm going to make a house for them based on their interests and also using whatever budget the game gives us, since there is that potential for more than the regular starting amount, and I really hope I get that because I definitely want more than a 24,000 simoleon budget to work with. But let's just get into this quiz. So we're going to make a young adult. I think that's what I'm going to make all of these sims. Alright, what do I do to cheer myself up? Go for a jog, be mean to others, spend time with family. I think I'm going to go for a jog. I don't know if I want to make this sim a mean one. I might do that later on, but I don't think we'll do that for this sim. Looking to the stars one night, I see something in the sky. What is it? Wow, a shooting star, a UFO. That's no moon. Okay, we'll go with this one. That's kind of interesting. I like it. The best way for me to relax is a good massage, TV and junk food, and reading a book. I'm not answering this for myself here, but a good massage is definitely a great way to relax. So we're just going to go with that. I just kind of want to end up with really random sims. How do I get by in life? Intelligence and hard work. I borrow things. I mooch off of friends. Let's do this one. I don't know, kind of feeling that for some reason. This is going to be a very random sim. The internet is for inspiration, making money, llama memes. I think we'll go for llama memes. I'm kind of feeling a sort of mischievous sim here. Meditation is an excellent way to relax, best done in the sauna. I'm too caffeinated for it. We already answered a good massage was a way to relax, so I guess we should keep with that and say this, you know, maybe they're kind of like into the wellness skill and getting massages and meditation, yoga. When taking a quiz, I never cheat, pick answers randomly, cheat with online guides. Let's do this. A friend trips and falls in my home. What's my reaction? I'll provide first aid. Did they break anything? Point and laugh. I think we'll go with a more neutral answer and pick did they break anything? What are my thoughts on aliens? Someday we'll find them. They walk among us. Klaatu Barada Nikto. I feel like if we answer this like maybe this will make them an alien? I don't know. Do we want that? It would be cool to have one of these sims be an occult, but I'm not sure if I'm really feeling this sim, so we'll go with they walk amongst us. The fridge is broken. What do I do? Fix it myself? Call the repair service? Buy a new one? I mean, usually when I'm playing the game, I just buy a new one rather than calling the repair service, so we'll just do this. Alright, so what have we got? We've got a bodybuilder, so as I predicted this, I was kind of thinking, okay, good, so we do have the wellness skill built up. Yeah, so I was kind of thinking this was maybe a sim who's into fitness a little bit, and then they're lazy, which seems very contradictory, but I mean, I guess they could be into working out, but then lazy apart from that, like in the rest of your life you don't like to be very active. That definitely does feel very contradictory though. Materialistic. Okay, so they're very into having nice stuff, so we'll have to keep that in mind when I make their house. And then they're also a genius. Yeah, so this definitely is a very random assortment of traits that I usually would not just pick for sims myself. Okay, so they are unemployed. That's rather unfortunate. And then they have the skill or the wellness and fitness skill built up a little bit. So we definitely have a very interesting sim here. And then our starting funds are standard. All right, so moving on, let's go ahead and make our second roommate. So we'll just add a sim via the story. We'll make them a young adult. What do I grow in my garden? Fruits and vegetables, flowers, weeds. I'm kind of feeling the weeds answer for some reason. I have a great idea for a prank. It's at someone else's expense. It's self-deprecating. I would never prank anyone. I guess we'll just go with self-deprecating. The best part of bowling with friends is strike, bowling team shirts, the bowl of chips. I will just pick strike. When expressing myself artistically, I prefer to create something visual, practice music, create function over form. Let's go with create something visual. We'll have the sim be a bit of an artist. Someone makes a joke about me, how do I react? I yell at them, I laugh and play along, I feel humiliated. Let's go with I laugh and play along since we did pick the self-deprecating option before. It's open mic night at the bar and I'm up. I tell my best jokes, slapstick comedy, show off my musical talent. I guess we'll do this. Maybe the Sim is kind of an artist and also a little bit of a comedian. How do I feel about love? I'll know it when I feel it. Love at first sight is real. I keep my options open. Let's do this one. Flowers look best when they're blooming in my garden in a beautiful arrangement, dead during winter. Well, we already answered it with weeds before, so I feel like we gotta go with dead during winter. Yeah, so we'll pick that. What's the most important thing to me? My stuff, my family, my reputation. I kind of want to answer my stuff because I feel like that might give us more than the regular starting amount of money, and I definitely want to get that. My neighbors didn't pay their bills and their utilities got shut off. Laugh at their predicament, offer to help, avoid them at all costs. This is a little mean, but let's go with avoid them at all costs. They just really don't want to deal with it. All right, so we have generated our sim. So it looks like we have the Jokestar aspiration. I can already see that there. So yeah, Jokestar, they are cheerful, a loner, and clumsy. And then they're also in the entertainer career. They have the comedy skill built up and the bowling skill as well. And then, they have standard starting funds. We've got to make this last sim have more than the regular starting fund. So hopefully we could do that. Okay, so we'll add a sim via story and we'll once again make a young adult. What do I know about vampires? Goths with big pointy teeth. They're creatures in teen novels. You can count on me, or them. Let's go with that option. I kind of want a secret vampire roommate. I'm definitely digging that. In my free time, I like to curl up with a book, play video games, hit the gym. Let's go with play video games. We'll have the sim be maybe a little bit of a geek. How do I feel about routine and structure? So I think this means this is a question from Strangerville. I want to say, sir, yes, sir. It helps with scheduling. It's a bohemian lifestyle for me. Let's go with this. It's the weekend, I have nothing to do. Invite some friends over, walk to the park, stay in and relax. Well, since I'm assuming they're going to be a vampire, they definitely wouldn't want to be walking to the park unless it's during night. So I think we'll just pick stay in and relax. What approach do I take to my job? It's a means to an end. Success is important to me. I trust in my awesomeness. Let's do this one. Where do I prefer to sleep? In a bed, in a race car, in a coffin. Well, since I think we're already going to end up with a vampire, we'll just pick it in a coffin. That's what they like. Is anyone out to get you? Just because I'm paranoid? Who's asking? Nah, everyone loves me. Let's pick this one. What's the best way to experience a lunar eclipse? Play a pipe organ, dress in black, watching it with my boo. Okay, so let's pick dress in black. I get asked out on a date. What's my response? Go out, it could be fun. Ask who else they like. Politely decline. I wasn't planning on randomizing questions, but I actually kind of want to randomize this one. What defines success? Having many friends, being rich, bettering the world. I'm going to go with this because I kind of feel like that's going to give us more than that regular starting amount here. A coworker messed up. Now our boss is mad. What do I do? Blame them, cover for them, quit. I don't need the stress. I think I'm going to randomize this one as well just because this is the last question we're going to answer, so I want to get something else. So how about that sunlight? Too bright, it's the worst. Sunlight energizes me. It comes from a yellow dwarf star. We've already answered stuff that kind of goes towards being a vampire, so I think we can get something else. I have a great idea for a prank. We already answered this. Acting as a means to become famous, or to becoming famous. Winning a Starlight Accolades Award. A job that provides free catering. Let's go with this. Yes, we ended up with a vampire, and I really hope we get more than the regular starting amount. All right, so it looks like we're gonna have 3 male roommates. Hey, nice to meet you. Okay, so we got this whole thing again. Although I don't know, maybe I'll make one of them female. Yes, all right. So we at least got one of these sims to have more than the regular starting amount of money. It's above average, not high, but hopefully it'll give us a little something extra to work with. So I'm probably gonna make these sims an apartment because I don't think we're gonna end up with much. So they are an actor, they have the video gaming skill, and they also have the vampire lore skill. Now it's time to finish these sims, starting with the first one that we created, who I ended up naming Damien Okafor, and his traits made his personality a little tricky to figure out because they're pretty contradictory. He's lazy, but at the same time, he wants to become a bodybuilder, and he also has a head start in the fitness and wellness skills. And I was reading the description for the lazy trait, and it says that these sims tend to fatigue quicker from exercise than sims normally do. So it definitely doesn't make much sense that he has a lazy trait. yet becoming a bodybuilder is what he wants to do with his life. So the conclusion I came to, what I figured out for him, is that his life's motto is work smart, not hard. He does have the genius trait, so he's very intelligent. He's generally a step ahead of most people. So if there's a way he can do something that gets the same results with less effort, that's exactly what he's gonna do. So with exercising, he tries to find the moves that will promote the most muscle growth. He wants to get the most bang for his buck when he visits the gym so he can get the same results, get ripped, but spend less time there. So he spends a lot of time kind of like thinking over things and trying to figure that out. But the sitting there and thinking does come very easily to him because of his intelligence, and him and other people have always considered him to be very lucky. Like, he seems to kind of just skate through life, always happens to make the right choices. And that's definitely more so because of how just innately intelligent he is, even if he maybe doesn't fully realize it. Like when I was doing the quiz, I answered that he picks quiz questions randomly. And it's more so that, like, when he was in school, he didn't really study at all, but he still managed to get good grades. Like, he would go to take a test, and he would kind of like get a gut feeling about what the answer for the question is. Like, he would kind of like loosely remember things and be like, oh, I think that's what the answer is. And it turns out that that gut instinct would usually be right. So that's how he ended up getting through school. And he is trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life. So that is why he's unemployed. So I think what I'm going to do with all these Sims is I'm going to make them an apartment in the city. So it's kind of a situation where they found the apartment, like one person was originally living there, and then they posted a listing on whatever the Sims equivalent of Craigslist is, and then the other two responded to that and took a room there. So, you know, they're all kind of moving to the city to get some kind of fresh start. So he's coming there to hopefully try to figure out what he's going to do with his life, because he still hasn't figured out a plan for what kind of career he wants to go into. So I could imagine him just working a part-time job starting out, and then he'll eventually figure out where he wants to go. And I would say that he wants to become a professional athlete given his aspiration, but I don't know if I really see that for him, because I think he doesn't really want to put in the amount of work that you have to be a professional athlete. I think he's more so interested in being fit for both the health benefits of it, and also because he just wants to look really ripped. He just wants to be very impressive. And I know that's like not a possession thing exactly, but he is materialistic, so I feel like he really values his appearance, and just being ripped and looking really good is part of that, and that's really important to him. And he does also enjoy meditating and getting a good massage to help relax. So when I make their apartment, I'm definitely going to try to fit in the meditation stool and maybe a yoga mat somewhere. And even though these traits seem like they really didn't go together, it was kind of fun to like figure out how to make everything work together. You know, it's kind of like fitting together the pieces of a puzzle, and I did really enjoy doing that with all these Sims, because they all do have traits and aspects that don't really feel like they go together. Like, I definitely, like, if I was making a Sim without doing this, I definitely would not pick all of these traits and aspirations together. And that is kind of a cool thing, that you end up with these combinations that you normally wouldn't put together, and then you kind of have to like figure it all out. Although sometimes, like, looking back at what I answered for the questions and then looking at what we ended up with, it definitely doesn't seem to really make sense, especially with some of the other Sims. I mean, this one, I think I kind of see how I got this, because some of the questions definitely pointed to him getting the lazy trait, like what I said about him just buying new fridge if the fridge breaks. But then I also picked the stuff about like going for a jog to cheer him up, and then meditating and getting a massage. So, you know, it kind of makes sense that because of that, we got the fitness skill and the wellness skill bit built up. But I don't think the game like quite determines when things are contradicting. It just kind of like gives you different stuff based on what you answer, and doesn't really like think, oh, lazy and wanting to become a bodybuilder don't go together. But as I said, it's kind of interesting to piece all that together. But now we're on to the second Sim, who I named Maggie Aldridge. And she wants to become a comedian. She's very cheerful. She's also a loner, and she's a little clumsy. And the loner thing and her wanting to become a comedian may seem like it doesn't really fit together, because, you know, being a comedian, you're putting yourself out there, you're around a lot of new people, and loner Sims tend to just kind of want to be by themselves most of the time. And the way I see it is that she's very introverted. And the thing is, being introverted doesn't necessarily mean that you are super shy and you hate being around people. It just means that how you draw your energy is from being by yourself. You know, like, you could have fun being out with people, but that's not where you get your energy from. Like, I'm kind of like this myself. Like, I'm a very introverted person. I do actually like being around people, but when I've been around people a lot, I find myself having this desire that I need to like kind of be by myself to kind of like think over everything that happens. Like that's how I process things. That's how I kind of like get my energy back. So I definitely see her being the same way where, you know, she loves being out in front of the crowd and doing comedy, but at the end of the night, she really needs to just kind of go back to her place, just just kind of like process things, like think over things. And she needs to be by herself to really do that. You know, she can't do like back-to-back comedy gigs. She needs to have some break in there. And I think she got the clumsy trait because I did pick the slapstick comedy option. So maybe she's got a little bit of a slapstick element to her comedy. And I imagine she is very funny. And she did also start out in the entertainer career. So she's at level 3 of that, which I think is a C-lister. So she's definitely not like a top comedian, but she's kind of got a little bit of a following. You know, she's kind of starting to gain a little bit of traction. And I forgot to say it when I was reading over her story when we first got it, but she did get a bonus skill in the violin and guitar skills. So she starts out at level 2 of those, in addition to already having the comedy and bowling skill built up. So since she does have the bowling skill built up some, I imagine that bowling is a little bit of a hobby for her. So when I furnish her room in the apartment, I'll try to remember to stick a bowling trophy somewhere in there, maybe a couple to kind of show, like, I think it would be really cool to stick a few bowling trophies in her room and maybe also stick that bowling shirt, because I could be wrong, but I think the bowling stuff pack did come with a shirt that was hung on the wall. So that'd be kind of cool as well. Like it's her bowling team shirt, maybe from a winning team that she was on. So I actually kind of like that random aspect of her personality. Something that I did find very odd, though, is that she ended up with a cheerful trait when I said that she grows weeds in her garden and prefers flowers to be dead during the winter. I find that very, very strange that she's cheerful when I picked that option. But because of the cheerful trait, I did try to give her very bright, colorful, kind of out there outfits. So I used a lot of the clothing that came with City Living because it does have those very bright swatches. And I really love that outfit that I picked for her first outfit. I just think that swatch of it looks absolutely amazing. But I guess one way we can take the whole dead plant thing is that, you know, maybe she's still a very happy person, but she's just realized she does not have a green thumb. She does not like growing plants. She just kills them. So when I decorate a room, I think I'm going to try to not put any plants in there because she is not about trying to maintain that. She knows it's just going to not go well. So I think that'll be kind of my way of addressing that answer to her quiz question. Because I was trying to take into account the answers that I gave for the quiz when figuring out the personalities, but we're almost done with Maggie, so soon we'll be moving on to the last sim. And I also want to mention that I created these sims without using any custom content. I just want to make them a little bit easier to download in case any of you wanted to put them into your game. For some reason, I've been kind of in the mood to make custom content-free sims lately. I'll definitely make more sims in the future that do use custom content. I'll do more makeovers with custom content, but for the time being, I was just kind of feeling this. And in the last creative sim I did ask whether you all prefer custom content or no custom content. And a few people answered that they prefer no custom content because it does make the sims a bit easier and that they typically only download sims that are custom content free. So I'll definitely be mixing in more custom content free sims in their creative sims in the future. I feel like I'm saying custom content a whole lot here, but we're on to the last sim, whose name is Luca Della Rosa, not placeholder as it says currently. That was because after I made Maggie, I had to leave the house for a few hours and I was worried that my computer would shut down for some reason. I would end up losing the whole story mode thing because I did save the household, but when you save the household, I don't think the story mode stuff goes with it because I believe as soon as you leave Create a Sim after you initially create them, all that kind of goes away. And I wasn't sure if the starting amount went away with that, and I didn't want to risk losing whatever their starting amount was going to be, so I just quickly went out of Create a Sim, plopped them down, and then when I got back home, I went back into it to finish up the sim. And I did see that they started out with around 51,000 simoleons, which I was very surprised by because Maggie and Damien both had the standard starting funds, and then Luca had above average, and I really did not think that was going to end up being 51,000, but I'm not complaining about that. That's a good amount of money, but I think I am still going to make them an apartment because I have all of these ideas for stuff I want to do and place in the apartment to show their personalities, and I feel like if I made a house, I would have a much harder time doing what I really want to do. So yeah, we're just going to have them in an apartment. I kind of feel like that suits them better anyway, but Luca here is a vampire and he definitely seems like kind of like the brooding vampire type to me. I forgot to read his traits after I did the quiz, but his aspiration is computer whiz. He's gloomy, he's self-absorbed, he's a geek, which is definitely an interesting mixture. And with this style, I was trying to give him this sort of slightly formal, like dated appearance. Like I was trying to dress him in some of the outfits that came with vampires that feel a little bit more old-fashioned. I kind of like this idea that he sort of, I mean, this shirt here is pretty modern, like his everyday wear outfit is pretty modern, but I wanted him to have this kind of like dated look to him, but not in a super formal, he seems out of place kind of a way. Like I wanted it to be a mix of wearing formal, nice clothing, but in a very modern way. Like he just does it very stylishly, doesn't feel out of place with the modern day at all. And I really love that. He just kind of has this very charming, dapper look to him, and I see him as being very mesmerizing and just really enchanting people. Like they really just love him for some reason, and maybe that's a little bit of something from him being a vampire. And I was imagining he's also 100 or 200 years old. He's definitely a lot older, or not, yeah, a lot older than he looks like he is. He's been around for a while, and he is an actor as well, so he is starting to make a break into acting. And the way I was seeing that was that for his life, he's kind of like kept himself hidden. He's kind of stayed out of the limelight to hide the fact that he is a vampire. But now that he's a few hundred years old, he's like, you know what, I want to live. Like, I want to just take the experience I've had and put it towards becoming famous. I want to be known. He's kind of getting a little bit more reckless about potentially being found out. And becoming famous and being an actor definitely will make it a lot harder to hide who he is, because he doesn't age. So what he's had to do in the past is, when, you know, as you've seen in many vampire movies, once it gets to a point where people are going to start noticing that he hasn't been aging, he kind of has to move somewhere else. He kind of has to get away, has to start a new life. So him becoming a famous actor will definitely make that a lot more difficult. But as I said, he's being reckless. He's not really processing that all the way through. He just wants to do that. He's had time to build up a lot of skills that most people who are the age that he looks like he is haven't had a chance to do. So that is something that will kind of give him a little bit of a leg up in his career. And I also like that he is a bit of a geek. Even though he's been around for several hundred years, he is not stuck in the technology, in the technology of the past. He's definitely keeping up to date, and he's always, like, being able to really see the development of technology more so than anyone who's alive has. He's really enjoyed that. Like, he's really enjoyed being able to see all of these things and be able to put all of these different technologies to use, and he's been keeping very up to date on it. But we are about at the end of the creation of these Sims, so there will be a link to download these Sims in the description, and that's going to be all from me. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and bye!